Audio is on. Is your other camera playing? President Howard, the faculty, staff, officers of the university, guests and candidates are assembled, and the hour is at hand. With your permission, may these proceedings begin. Please be seated. Just out of respect for our commencement ceremony, please make sure you set phones on silence. I am SIT's Dean of Faculty, Dr. Saeed Rewid, and I am pleased to officially welcome you to today's ceremony, which is the School for International 26 commencement. This exercise promises to be a diverse and special opportunity. First, we welcome a 21 graduate who was unable to walk across the stage last year. Today, she is here in Brattleboro. Next, we welcome 27 graduates who joined us via live stream from all corners of the globe. Also joining us remotely are some of our board members, our colleagues, friends of SIT, alumni, and family members. We welcome you all. And finally, we welcome our 27 graduates who are present with us today in Vermont, joined by their family, friends, our board members, alumni, SIT faculty, and staff. Welcome to you. In total, we celebrate the accomplishments of 53 students of the class of 2022. Graduates of 2021 and graduates of 2022. Today is a punctuation point in your academic and life journey. It marks the end of one chapter and ushers the beginning of a new one. Inspired by the tenets of SIT experiential philosophy, you will likely take a moment to reflect on the learning acquired during your study for this degree before you start planning for the way home. As you look ahead, remember that you now partake of the history of a university that has expanded the frontiers of international education, trained leaders across continents, and contributed to the global efforts of spreading the values of peace, social justice, equity, and equality. Contra the populist ideology which promotes monoculturalism over multiculturalism, national self-interest over international cooperation in development aid, closed borders over the free flow of people's ideas, labor, and capital, and traditionalism over progressive and liberal social values. You have experienced firsthand the interconnectedness of human narratives, unpacked the unfounded claims of the vocabulary othering, and realized that the future of human experience lies in the extent to which we can all bring together our intellect, emotion, and imagination to create new ways of thinking about decisions, such as inequality, climate change, health, education, and peace and justice. I have engaged, as you know, I have engaged with you under different circumstances over this past year, and I came out impressed by the commitment you have shown to the ethics of equity, social justice, and inclusion. And I trust that whether in your professional or personal lives, you will continue to embrace new epistemic cultures and interrogate the systems of oppression and privilege. But today is a day of celebration, and there is so much you should be proud to celebrate. In a global environment governed by uncertainty and the unexpected, you have shown high resilience ethics in coping with the uncertainties you faced. We had to change program country locations, update risk assessments and safety protocols, rewrite itineraries, and when everybody's nerves were stretched, you remained serene and focused. The grace and sagacity you have shown navigating an adverse and complicated environment we're aspiring to organize. I have heard from your program chairs and capstone facilitators and learned about your intellectual engagement with the critical global issues the world is facing today. We are proud of the way you have embraced a human-centered comparative approach, honed the skills of critical literacy, enhanced intercultural encounters, and intellectual quality. We have challenged you to reflect on education and society, study the interface between hegemonic powers and creative dissent, investigate the interrelations of global health and climate change, examine interconnected nature of development and humanitarian assistance, and interrogate the validity claims of indigenous knowledge and scientific methods, and you have lived up to the challenge. While the university is part of the social order and survives by helping to maintain it, as Orwell argues, the university also reflects, I may add, that of the social order and can help us transform it. At this critical moment in the history of humanity, with crises in climate change and racial relations, xenophobic assaults on minorities, refugees, and immigrants, when truth is not only challenged, but it is being challenged as a mechanism for asserting political dominance. We're grateful to you for helping us remain true to our vocation as a space of innovation and creativity, a voice of moderation and depolarization, and a channel of advocacy against inequities and all forms of exclusion. We will remain true to the founding principles of this institution, to its history. We renew the pledge of our commitment to a model of international educational justice and to creating opportunities of intellectual and professional engagement with critical global issues and at all levels. It is in the spirit that we will be launching very soon, talking here in international. So it is in the spirit that we will be launching very soon 3 new professional doctorates on humanitarianism, global affairs, and sustainability studies. Our candidates, on your behalf, I would like to extend the warmest feelings of gratitude to your faculty, SIT and World Learning staff in Vermont and DC, and our learning centers across the world, in particular in Jordan, Tunisia, Kenya, Ecuador, South Africa, India, Nepal, and Switzerland. I would like to thank all our partners who have opened their homes and their hearts and workplaces to you for your practicum, including in Iraq, Morocco, Japan, Korea, Kosovo, El Salvador, Peru, Philippines, New Zealand, Chile, Seychelles, and the US. Candidates. This is a festive moment, so let's celebrate your success and that of your families, friends, and partners. In conclusion, if I may tweak just a little bit one of Shakespeare's statements in As You Like It, allow me to say, well now, you globally engaged citizens, you can be challenged to a battle of wits. And I see you well armed for this challenge. Thank you. I now have the honor of introducing our president, Dr. Sophia Howard. Dr. Howard holds a PhD in European Renaissance philosophy and literature from York University in the UK, and an MA and BA in English literature from Cambridge University. With a distinguished career in international higher education, she came to SIT and has now led us for 5 years and counting. Please welcome President Sophia.
Thank you very much, Saeed. I have something formal to say, first of all. In the tradition of the Academy and as President of the School for International Training, I, Sophia Howlett, officially convene this 56th annual commencement ceremony. I convey a warm welcome to our platform party and I introduce the members of our platform party. I would ask them to stand. Paula Weinbach, Director of Alumni Engagement. Dr. Michael Soll, Dean of Student Health, Safety and Wellbeing. Dominique Sivatone, our student speaker, Andrew Dick, Executive Director of Global Operations. You've already met Dr. Saeed Brave, Dean of Faculty, Carol Span, Peace Corps CEO and our keynote speaker, Larry Cooley, Chairman of the World Learning Board of Trustees, Dr. Laura Colcott, Associate Dean, Graduate Institute, Dr. Bruce Dayton, Associate Professor, Chair, and our faculty speaker. And finally, Dr. Catherine Insteep, Dean of Assessment and Learning Services. And now, a warm welcome to all of you, graduates, friends, family, faculty, staff. What an extraordinary journey you have been on. Today, we salute you, not only for your new skills and your new learning and your new understanding of the issues confronting our world, but also for your patience, your flexibility, your resilience, and dare I say it, your bravery. We've already heard from Saeed, you have studied and lived all over the world over the past year or two. And at a time when most people were sitting at home and maybe not even wanting to leave their bedrooms. Of course, you've also studied here, thankfully, on our beautiful campus in Vermont. So you've done so at a time when the world seemed very closed, when travel seemed difficult, if not for many, psychologically impossible, when the problems that confront us to build a more peaceful, just, and sustainable world seemed in many ways so much more insurmountable. Indeed, it has been a year or two. I could name so many situations, unrest, violence, examples of inequality, but let me just reflect very briefly on a few. Last year, we had our commencement in the International Centre over there, which we reserve for when it rains. And our speaker that year was actually a member of our trustees, Aisha Naomi Cooper. And she told us her own personal story of becoming a refugee and of having to leave her home in Africa and travel to the United States, being divided up, going to a new life, and she didn't know what. At that very moment, we were all being confronted by a new refugee crisis. We were right in the middle of the removal of troops from Afghanistan, and I think we all remember those scenes at the airport in Kabul with desperate people trying to get on planes and get out of the country. And unfortunately, we now see how right they were to try and leave. COVID. So many of our countries last year were still in lockdown. The places that you thought you were going to go to turned out not to be available. We had to shift, we had to move. And really, it seems such a long time ago, but really, it's only about 6 months since the world started to open up again. And so you were out there doing all of these things at a time, as I said, when most people were just simply not leaving their home or couldn't leave their home. And then in the winter, as I said, it's hard sometimes to pick one thing. On my mind a lot, because I mean, there's always something I think over the past few years that has touched each of us personally. And for me, it was very much the Ukraine situation. It's where I did my volunteer work, and it's where I met my husband. And I also want to say that it touched our community very personally too. One of our members, Dr. Alakour, is from Ukraine, and in fact, her hometown was part of that first onslaught in the winter. And luckily, she has her immediate family with her here in the United States. But it's been a very difficult time, especially sitting in the US watching pictures of her hometown being blown up. So she was supposed to be here as our faculty speaker, and she couldn't come. But I really, and thank you for standing in, but I really wanted to acknowledge what I hope she might have said about what's going on there. But as I said, we could talk about Sri Lanka, we could talk about so many other places right now. We have all been impacted at some level by the uncertainties that have really swept over us, confronting our world over the past few years. You were inspired to get out there to make a difference. And frankly, if you are SIT students, and I believe you are, and you realize that SIT is your home, then I'm not so surprised. SIT and our amazing NGO, World Learning, was born out of service. The desire to serve, to be of use, to stand up and be counted, and to help build a more peaceful, just, and sustainable world. I stand here today next to this brand new, beautiful marker, which we will be officially unveiling this afternoon, so pretend you can't see it right now. Given to us to celebrate our foundation almost 60 years ago, to support the birth of a new organization, to harness the desire of so many to serve the Peace Corps. We are so grateful to have joined with us today our guest speaker, the director of the Peace Corps, Sam. Thank you so much for coming. But also so many of us, many people who are going to be joining us throughout the day, who have been called on for a life of service, including the Assistant Secretary of State, members of our Senate and House delegations, and later our Congressman, Welch, is coming. We are also surrounded by faculty, and no doubt friends and family, who too have a history of service to their communities, to the Peace Corps, to their countries, and to their world. This is ultimately what joins us all together. A belief that there are issues bigger than ourselves and a community that transcends our own individual concerns, and that we need to be a part of supporting that much bigger picture. So this year, whatever has passed, we have, and I want you to know this, stood up yet again to make a difference. Just one quick example, the refugee program that we put together with all of our colleagues and friends in World Learning. The fact that we were able to host 100 of those Afghan refugees here on campus. And I hope that as you wander through town today, you're going to see many signs of the impact they're already having on our community. We're so proud that we've been able to achieve this. And when we had the opportunity, all your leadership stood up immediately and said, we know this is what our community would want us to do and to be involved with. So I hope you get to see that. And we will be continuing with that program and continuing to use our campus part of the year as a support mechanism for refugees as they enter this country. In fact, as I speak, we even have the first few that will be coming in over the fall on campus with us from Guatemala and also from Afghanistan. We've also been supporting community leaders as our NGO World Learning in Central America to learn about urban management. We've been welcoming young people again into the United States for experience studying in the US. And we have alumni everywhere, all over the world at this moment, making a difference, whether they are the head of Oxfam USA or at the Helsinki Commission right now in Vienna, working for peace in Eastern Europe. You will find SIT alumni always at the forefront, always giving. And then, of course, there is you. Because whatever we do, you are our inspiration. Your work, your experience, your energy and enthusiasm are what ensures we get up every morning and recommit to our educational programs. You show us why a life of service is essential to the future of our planet. Because, let me break this to you, that's what you have chosen to do with it. I hope that's sunk in by now. You have chosen an extraordinary life. But now, moving forward, with a community where I hope, I believe that you feel truly at home. Maybe for the first time. A community that really gets you and that will always be with you. Thank you, graduates. Congratulations, and we are so looking forward to seeing what you too will do.
Thank you, Sophie. It is now my honor to recognize the SIT faculty present here today. Bruce Dayton. Leslie Turton. Please stand. Sorry. Azim Tan. Sora Friedman. Elta Sudeta. To see you, Elta. And Ali Legan. Thank you. It's also my honor to recognize our emerita faculty. And these are like the ushers who download the principle of the work that we continue to follow. Albino Fantini. B. Fantini. And Diane Lawson Freeman. Elizabeth Tuttenbaum. Ray Clark. Susan Belgium. And Linda Gomo. Thank you so much. I have the honor of adding to our number of emerita faculty for today. We're pleased to confer the rank of emerita to Dr. Elka Todeko. I will ask Dr. Galila to stand up. And Dr. Leslie Turpin to please approach the podium to introduce Dr. Todeko.
I can't tell you what an honor it is to read this. Professor Emeritus is an honorary status conferred upon a retired faculty member who's contributed to our institution through teaching, scholarship, advising, and contribution to the profession. That describes Elka to a T. During her many years with SIT's MAT self-program, Elka has been our intellectual powerhouse. She is endlessly fascinated by languages and the power dynamics in language use. But the T-cell field has taken a more multicultural turn away from native speaker dominance. It's been at the forefront of discussions on plurilingual pedagogy, multimodal learning, language learning, equity, and tapping students' linguistic and cultural repertoire in the learning process. Her recent writing and presentations on this topic have heightened SIT's visibility as her plurilingual focus has inspired what she brings to us. Always received the highest rankings in students. Her classes exemplify her enthusiasm in an ever-evolving. Whether online or face-to-face, they are joyful and rich. Elsa is also a beloved practicing supervisor who travels wherever students are working to provide expert guidance in the art of reflection and self-awareness. Always finds time to do special seminars and workshops with local teachers in the schools that she visits. This additional pro bono work spreads the SIT name and provides learning opportunities for many teachers who do not have other access to professional development. Elsa's many contributions to the field include a recent presentation at the prestigious Georgetown University Roundtable, an extended consultancy in Kazakhstan, and managing a partnership with Newcastle University in Uzbekistan. She has numerous publications, her most recent co-authored with another emeritus, Dr. Diane Lawson Freeman, in the 2021 Rutledge Handbook on Plurilingual Language Education. I can think of no one more deserving business recognition than my dear colleague and friend of 30 years, Dr. Please join me in applauding her success.
Thank you, Dr. Sabin. Congratulations once again, Dr. Sabin. It is now my pleasure to introduce this year's faculty speaker, Dr. Bruce Dayton. For more than 20 years, Dr. Dayton has engaged in peace building and conflict transformation as a practitioner, researcher, and educator. He focuses on political leadership and the management of intractable conflicts, as well as the role intermediaries can play in transforming them. Dr. Dayton holds a PhD and an MA in political science from Syracuse University and the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, respectively. His BA in politics is from Ithaca College. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bruce Dayton.
Saeed, good morning, everybody. Greetings, SIT graduates, your families and friends, my dear colleagues, the talented staff and administrators at the School for International Training, members of the Board of Trustees, World Learning President and CEO Carol Jenkins, SIT President Sophia Howlett, and our honored graduation keynote speaker. What a beautiful and meaningful day this is. I'm humbled to be here today representing the SIT faculty. That includes the regular and emeriti faculty here in the audience, as well as faculty joining us remotely from our graduate sites in Iceland, Jordan, in Ecuador and South Africa, Switzerland, Vietnam, Kenya, Uganda, Serbia, Argentina, among other countries. We are truly a global graduate school, and I've never worked with a better group of people. There are 3 tasks that I want to accomplish in my short 5 minutes. Yes, that's right, just 5 minutes with you. My first task, students, is to ask for your forgiveness. Forgiveness for all the pain we have put you through. That pain has titles like practitioner inquiry, monitoring and evaluation, and any course that begins with the words foundations of or theories and practice of. That pain, as you know, also included countless hundreds of hours reading and writing, working together on group projects, meeting deadlines to submit your capstone paper, your capstone project. Includes hours at airports, on airplanes and taxis and Ubers, all while you navigated a global health pandemic that often upended your programs. We've asked much of you. Second task. I'm happy to tell you that a short time from now, you will not remember any of that. Instead, you'll only remember the intellectual, the personal connections you've made. You'll only remember what you did in your short time here has shaped who you are and your sense of what you're here on earth to do. My third task and last is the hardest, and that's to provide some short words of faculty wisdom that you might remember past your lunch today. So here it is. We live in an era where we're constantly told, I believe for good reason, that humanity is at an inflection point, defined in mathematics as the point on a curve at which the curvature changes from convex to concave, or vice versa. What does it mean for a society to be at an inflection point? It means that what we do today to either ameliorate or to shrink from the challenges facing us will determine whether we survive, continue to evolve as a species, or whether we devolve, surrendering finally to the worst of human instincts, fear of the other, dehumanization, the use of violent coercion to solve our problems, and the prioritization of short-term material gain over all else. That knowledge, I know, is a heavy load for you to carry. The idea that we're in an inflection point, that this is a special and consequential moment in history. Living in such a consequential time is not fair to you, and it's not easy. Many of us can become fatalistic in the face of such daunting challenges. What can one individual do? Well, it turns out that one individual can do quite a lot. And here's 5 daily practices that I urge you to consider adopting. First, slow down, ground yourself in the present moment. There's far more beauty here than there is viciousness. Second, each day of your life, make it a point to interact and learn from one person that is different from you. That is the surest way to enlarge our identities beyond the parochial, to develop what social psychologists call a superordinate identity. Third, pick one problem you care about in your community and mobilize a small group of allies to overcome it. It's far easier to solve the challenges that you see and experience every day than those that are abstract. Fourth, resist the urge to see the world through a binary lens. Things are always more complicated and messier than they seem. Dogma is the enemy of progress. Fifth and finally, use all the skills you learned here. You now know how to systematically diagnose even the most complicated of problems, how to work with and across cultural differences, how to formulate a theory of change, how to design interventions and programs and measure whether they work or not, and if they don't, how to reinvent and try again. Imagine what would happen if just the 50 of you graduates made these things a daily practice, or the 200 of us here today, or the 7,300 citizens of Brattleboro, Vermont, or the 300 million people living in the United States, or the 1 billion inhabitants of the Americas, or the 7.7 billion people on Earth. Revolutions happen from below, from the bottom up. Change happens cumulatively from the actions that each of us take across all moments in our life. Collectively, you are far more powerful than you may fear. So in conclusion, and again on behalf of my faculty colleagues, it has been our honor and privilege to work with you over these semesters. Embrace this day, embrace each other's. Congratulations.
I'm now trying to memorize. It is now my pleasure to introduce this year's student speaker, Dominique Sivatome. I keep trying to memorize. Today, Dominique receives her MA in Climate Change and Global Sustainability. But she has been part of the SIT family for more than a decade. She is an alumna of SIT Kenya Health and Community and a 3-time trustee fellow with SIT's IHP Health and Community Program, focusing on community building and anti-oppression. Dominique is passionate about decolonizing knowledge, promoting plurality, and finding alternative co-creative solutions to the current global climate crisis. Please join me in welcoming Dominique.
Thank you. Chief Executives Jenkins and Spahn, President Howlett, Chairman Cooley, distinguished faculty, staff, honored guests here on campus, proud parents, family, and friends, those connected via live stream, and most importantly, the graduates of the class of 2022, welcome. We did it. It is such an honor to be here, and what a journey it has been. We have all traversed different countries and cultures and topics during this ongoing pandemic. We've adapted to new places or familiar places with new ways of being. We have written countless papers and read hundreds of articles and books we've done field work, we have learned languages, we've navigated group and social dynamics, we've stayed connected to our loved ones, being mentally, physically, and emotionally pushed to our limits. We have had the weight of the world on our shoulders, or so it can be. The very nature of SIT, we have all chosen degrees and paths in which we tackle some of the greatest threats to our Earth. From climate change and sustainable development to diplomacy, international relations, international education, service and leadership, global health, humanitarian assistance, and crisis management. But we study these subjects, immerse ourselves in these topics because we care. When my class was in Ísafjörður, Iceland, we learned some devastating things that were happening in the United States and globally in relation to women's rights, racial and gender injustices. In class, we had just been discussing the permanent loss of permafrost and the devastating impacts of glacial ice melt. I was also hearing stories from my friends in Tanzania who were experiencing massive drought and could not produce food for their families. It was deeply overwhelming, maddening, and crushing. On one particularly heavy afternoon, a few of us went to a local hangout spot, Dogen, to process. I personally felt like I wasn't doing enough to stop this world from hurtling into oblivion. I felt so small and helpless. Then, my classmate Jamie Matthews shared something she had learned from a teacher in the past. We just have to pick up a metaphorical broom and sweep our own street. Just sweep. It may only be a small area, yes, but then we have to trust that others are also picking up brooms and sweeping other streets. We cannot change the world on our own. We can do it together. With passion, compassion, rage, hope, action, and ultimately trust in each other. Until the next time. Spending my days studying, learning, experiencing, I was not marching, petitioning, or advocating. I felt like my broom was tucked away in a closet somewhere, and I was doing nothing to contribute to the fight for change. Then, my wise professor, Dr. Jill Welter, reminded me that I was there studying climate change and global sustainability so that I could build a bigger, more effective group. With the privilege of this degree and all of the life-altering, eye-opening experiences that come along with it, we are building even more robust toolkits to effectuate change. I say this while also fully acknowledging that formal education is not by any means the only way to learn and advance, but it is simply one way that we, as graduates of SIT, have chosen to build ourselves. While programs like ours at SIT, its Graduate Institute, expose so much devastation and pain in this world, they also reveal beautiful, joyous, empowering, and loving realities of our current existence. We cultivate space for all of it, to hold the pain and the joy simultaneously. One of my favorite activists and writers, Adrienne Marie Brown, wrote in her book, Pleasure Activism, feeling good is not frivolous, it is freedom. He also said, pleasure activism is the work we do to reclaim our whole, happy, and satisfiable selves from the impacts, delusions, and limitations of oppression and or suppression. What we need right now is radical, global love that grows from deep within us to encompass all life. There have been so many moments, joy and connection during my year with SIT. Hiking 2.5 hours through waist-deep water in the Ecuadorian Amazon to see the incredibly rare first eagle kick, and then calling to pink dolphins as they followed our boat down the river. To watching a massive whale hop up next to our boat while we were sampling phytoplankton in Iceland. Tossing potatoes on the circle after cooking them in a Latvia earth oven on Dia de la Papa, or Day of the Potato in Peru. Hearing stories from Wairani activists standing in their power and fighting extractive companies and governments. Hearing llama and alpaca and walking next to wild Kenya. And the backdrop of the formidable majestic Mount Chimborazo, exchanging knowledge with textile farmers, ways in which we can bridge indigenous and Western knowledge systems to co-create agricultural innovations in order to combat climate change. IT provides experiential, immersive learning programs that allow us to challenge ourselves to the status quo, with people, and build networks of solidarity and support for others who are also standing up to injustices. SIT values all voices, encourages different ways of knowing and thinking. SIT moves us to action. So, after 2022, I ask you all to put up your bigger, more robust rooms and speak with me. Together we, along with all of the former and future SIT graduates, our faculty, staff, teachers, mentors, community partners, families, and friends, we can reconceptualize this world, engage in radical global love, and create true change. Thank you.
So much, Dominique. It is now my very great pleasure to introduce this year's keynote speaker, the Peace Corps CEO, Carol Span. Ms. Span's Peace Corps experience began in 1994, as I think for many of the people who are sitting here today, as a volunteer in Romania. She would then go on to serve the Peace Corps as country director of Malawi and as chief of operations in Eastern and Southern Africa. She has 25 years of public and private sector experience. At Women for Women International, she serves marginalized and socially excluded women in conflict-affected countries. At Aporia Global Health Foundation, she worked to create sustainable centers of excellence in health in Africa. She holds a bachelor's degree, which she informed me this morning is in accounting, from the Catholic University of America, a master's degree in international development from George Washington University, Elliott School of International Affairs, but we can rectify that with a degree from SIT. Please join me in a very warm welcome for Carol Span.
Thank you so much, Professor employee, members of the board, everyone here today. One of the things I learned in Malawi was after you hire someone who is recognized, all of the important members of the audience, you can say all protocols observed. So I will do that now. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the invitation to be here today. I'm incredibly honored. It is a beautiful campus, both inside and out. And as member of the Peace Corps family, I can see that we are all family together in terms of our values and our mission and what makes us. The class of 2022, congratulations. You should take immense pride, not only in what you have achieved, but when you have achieved it. Given speeches to more than 500 Peace Corps volunteers as they were sworn into service, loaded into vans, dropped in the middle of nowhere in countries far from home. I have to admit it was pretty daunting to think about what to say to a group of students who are preparing to make their mark on the world in this environment. Today we are living with unprecedented uncertainty. We often talk about taking risks in life so that we can continue to learn and grow. This is something that can be calculated. Uncertainty defies definition. We stand in the midst of a truly liminal moment, and our speaker referred to it as an inflection point on a societal level, a moment in which norms of all kinds are being questioned, in which future outcomes, things we once took for granted, are being thrown into doubt. We stand here together at a time when it's not clear how we will emerge from this unprecedented shock. And it can be very easy to be skeptical, to be pessimistic, and to stay home. But let us not make that an excuse for inaction. Global progress always has been and continues to be made by people like you who are not willing to stay on the sidelines and accept the status quo. From a real perspective, I'd like to take you back in time to when communism fell across Eastern Europe, when armed conflict broke out in Yugoslavia, and when the HIV/AIDS pandemic was raging around the world. It was the early 90s, and I was a recent college grad. Since then, the rate of people living in extreme poverty has fallen from 35% to just 10% in 2018. Vaccines, nutrition, malaria prevention, and improved hygiene lowered the mortality rate of children under 5 by a whopping 60%. In 20 countries, including some of the poorest countries in the world, reached HIV epidemic control. As someone who has worked on these issues in different capacities for almost 30 years, and who was never quite sure that my small contribution was making a difference, it is incredibly satisfying to step back and to think about those numbers. I was at the AIDS conference in Montreal last month, a conference that brings together more than 10,000 scientists. Reaching epidemic control in those 20 countries is the shared success of hundreds of thousands of people. Unprecedented, sustained commitment at all levels, at borders, and at the last mile. Angela Duckworth has done extensive research on what drives success in very challenging settings. And she asked the question, who is successful here and why? Some characteristics stood out. And it wasn't IQ, it wasn't talent, it wasn't luck, it wasn't money. It was grit. And she said, grit is sticking with your future day in and day out, not just for a week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Peace Corps country director in Malawi, I witnessed grit in its finest form. With all due respect, I would like to offer an amendment to the definition offered. You see, I think of myself as a person with grit. And so every morning I would drive to work with a scowl on my face as I contemplated the many things I had to do. Many things I had to do. Big, important things for the future. And every morning I was met by a member of our staff, Samson, who was sweeping the driveway. And he would always stop what he was doing and with both hands give me a wave like this with a big smile and say, "Good morning, madam." And I would walk into the office to the sounds of laughter. Not polite laughter, but rather the kind of laughter shared amongst true friends. So one day I had to ask the team, but I know how hard your lives are. And life is hard in Malawi. How is it that you show up every morning with a smile in your eyes, not just in your mouth, a smile in your eyes, and you tell jokes that make your whole body roll with laughter? And I think about their answer all the time. They said, we each carry heavy burdens, so we choose to show up for each other with joy. Dr. Duckworth defined grit as passion and perseverance for long-term and meaningful goals. We propose to add connection to that definition, because grit without connection, without heart, and without joy is empty. How can success be contemplated in the absence of humanity that makes a goal meaningful? And this brings me to my second point, and one that I didn't learn until recently, and I hope that you can learn now and carry with you for the rest of your lives. Grit and resilience will take you far in life, and connection will take you even further. But you need to know yourself and trust yourself so that your mind, your body, and your soul are aligned. Really knowing yourself is more than sharing your love language, your Myers-Briggs personality indicators, your Enneagram score, or your astrological sign. I am a Virgo, by the way. I am talking about doing the deep work and being honest with yourself about the principles and values that at your core are aligned and unshakable. I say this because life does not happen in a straight line. And I've known people who have spent a lifetime trying to conform to the expectations and values of society, parents, or just a perception of what they should do or who they should be. Your goals and priorities will shift over time and life will throw you curveballs. Surprisingly, being true to yourself may be one of the most difficult decisions you have to make. And one of the biggest gifts you can give, not only to yourself, also to those you care about. Because like most people, this can result and it resulted in anxiety, depression, and a lot of soul searching. We've all been forced free outside of our comfort zones. And it is those anchors that keep us grounded despite the chaos. And if you lose that grounding, and you will, from time to time, your body will know when you made a wrong turn, even if your mind continues to deny it. And I speak from experience on this. One of the books I recently read is called The Body Keeps Score. It's a nonfiction book. It's been on the New York Times bestseller list for a record 141 weeks. And now that you all have plenty of free time, I recognize you're beyond the text. I really do recommend you read it. In it, Dr. Vanderkolk writes, neuroscience research shows that the only way we can change the way we feel is by becoming aware of our inner experience and learning to befriend what is going on inside ourselves. Learn to befriend what is going on inside yourself. Listen to your body and trust the journey. I started my career in public accounting, which I don't often admit. And I imagined a very different life for myself. I'm a very practical person. You can always find a job in accounting. I came from Kansas, and that's what we do. We do practical things in our family. Peace Corps and the people I met along the way taught me that there is not one blueprint for how to live a good life. When I became a mom, I pulled back and worked part-time. Part-time CFO, I was a part-time executive director. When asked to take on roles I wasn't sure I was qualified for, I said yes. Fate intervened in unexpected ways, both good and tragic. It's been a messy ride with a lot of ups and downs. And yes, there are a lot of things I would have done differently. But when you zoom out, every mistake I've made, every time I've failed, every regret, it is all part of my journey. A journey that has made me who I am today. And you are about to embark on your own journey. And I find it fitting that this journey is launching at the birthplace of the experiment in international living. There's a lot wrapped up in those words. It would be very liberating. What if we allow ourselves to think about life as an experiment? Would we take more risks? Would we open ourselves up to change? Would we be more vulnerable? Would we take ourselves less seriously? Would we let hope overcome fear? Right now, we are living through one of the greatest, unexpected, unplanned social, environmental, and economic experiments in modern history. And it will require a different change, a different frame of mind to be intentional about how we emerge. And your generation has a profound opportunity to redefine norms and to push for transformational change in a way that we have simply not seen before. A strong dose of grit, a deep, deep sense of self, the nourishment of authentic connection and trust in the journey, I have no doubt that you will move mountains. Congratulations again to the class of 2022.
because actually the next step, thank you so much. It was very inspiring. I love that little. Uh, Now we have some special business to attend to, namely conferring degrees on our magnificent states. So, at this time, will the candidate for the degree of Master of Arts please rise, if you're able, or raise your hand, either here in person or online. And will our 2020 graduate please join this year's candidates so that you may reenact your ceremony. President Howard, in accordance with the recommendation of the faculty and the vote of the Board of Trustees, I request that you confer upon the candidates the degree of Master of Arts in recognition of their successful completion of all degree requirements.
On the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority granted by the state of Vermont and vested in the Board of Trustees of World Learning and the School of International Training, and by them delegated to me, I am pleased to confer upon the candidates the degree of Master of Arts with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto appertaining. Graduates, please indicate your new status by transferring your mortarboard tassel from right to left. Congratulations, it was easy as that. We welcome you to the conference day. In the year ahead, when you think of the influences on your life, you'll see the faces and hear the voices of many of your professors. This is an appropriate moment for you to thank them for the role that they have played in the process of educating you. And by the way, we've also heard that just because they're not here, they're watching you very closely online from all over the world. Will the faculty please stand who are present here and our faculty online and be recognized? In addition, today would not be possible without the support and encouragement of your family and friends. It is your parents, partners and children, your friends, both those outside the Graduate Institute and within, including SIT dedicated staff who have been there to support you in your quest for education. And I would also include in that all the amazing staff members gathered here today to make sure that this graduation is so special for you. Thank you to you all. I ask the parents, partners, children, relatives, friends, and staff and volunteers who are here, who have worked with you and supported you, who have encouraged you and helped you this year or over the past few years, to please stand if you are able and be recognized. Thank you. I now invite the graduates to come forward so that your faculty, your friends, and your families can acknowledge your achievements. Our staff will assist you. As you walk across the stage, you will have your name read by Professors Leslie Turpin and Sora Friedman, while Dr. Catherine Inskeep places your master's hood upon, and Mr. Andrew Dick assists me in presenting you with your diploma cover and congratulating you. Very well organized. Lineback, Director of Alumni Engagement, will present you with a rose to signify your entrance into our alumni group when departing the stage. After leaving the stage, please return to your seats and remain seated for the remainder of the ceremony. I now invite Dr. Sora Friedman and Leslie Turpin to the platform. Over to the microphone. Class of 2021, Master of Arts in Intercultural Service, Leadership and Management, age Marshall. Master of Arts in Climate Change and Global Sustainability, Dominique Sivatoni. Master of Arts in Climate Change and Global Sustainability, Chesley Davis. Master of Arts in Climate Change and Global Sustainability, Miranda Jane Salter. Master of Arts in Diplomacy and International Relations, Emily Rose Dion. Master of Arts in Diplomacy and International Relations, Eric Rodriguez. Master of Arts in Global Health Policy, Administration, and Management, Cassandra Marie Martin. Master of Arts in Global Health Policy, Administration, and Management, Lara Rosalie Norville. Master of Arts in Humanitarian Assistance and Crisis Management, Megan Kelly Nugent. Master of Arts in Humanitarian Assistance and Crisis Management, Margarita. Master of Arts in International Education, Lauren Farrell. Master of Arts in International Education, Shirley Marie Culver. Master of Arts in International Education, Thomas French Hire. Master of Arts in International Education, Jordan Nicole Limoges. Master of Arts in International Education, Margaret Elizabeth Tejada.
Master of Arts in International Education, Kayla Shaw White. Master of Arts in Peace and Justice Leadership, Jennifer Hall Witt. Master of Arts in Peace and Justice Leadership, Kimberly James. And accepting the degree for her brother, Jonathan Scheidegger, a Master of Arts in Peace and Justice Leadership, Kimberly Broaden. Master of Arts in Peace and Justice Leadership, Sarah Mary Wimper. Master of Arts in Sustainable Development, Carolina Frederick. Master of Arts in Sustainable Development, Julian Marie Hermansky. Master of Arts in Sustainable Development, Amanda Dagan. Master of Arts in Sustainable Development, Megan Emily Tucker. I have the honor of reading the degrees for the Master of Arts. Darley H. Grimson, Master of Arts in Teaching English to Speakers. Peyton M. Persinger, Master of Arts in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. Jillian Faith Ema, Master of Arts in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. Neil, can you show where the camera that is live streaming is? That's the camera? Great. Because now Leslie and I get to
read the names of those of you who are online, who are participating virtually and closely, hopefully with your friends and family. This first group is Master of Arts in Climate Change and Global Sustainability. Danielle Olivia Akins. Sam Colvino Harris. Kelly Nicole Kilmer. Emma Julia Vos. Next, we congratulate those who are graduating with the Master of Arts in Diplomacy and International Relations. Liam Kenneth Flanagan. You all should see the smiles of your colleagues over here, which I can see. They're smiling present here for you. Sapphire Alexis Sandoval. Master of Arts in Global Health Policy, Administration, and Management. Jasmine Faye Kaluska Williamson. Master of Arts in Humanitarian Assistance and Crisis Management. Tabitha Ray Babcock. Christopher Williams. Mir Azam Hussein Aziz. Master of Arts in Intercultural Service, Leadership, and Management. Emily Ann Della Fera. Tara Elizabeth Sneller. The next group are celebrating the achievement of their Master of Arts in International Education. Nadine Yvonne Black. Abigail Fredrickson. Rachel Catherine Kerr. Jordan Alexandra Lucas. Jessica Megan Fowler. Master of Arts in Peace and Justice Leadership, Brianna Paquette. Master of Arts in Sustainable Development, Stephen Onyango Oko. Brendan George Ruprecht. Hannah Zoe Williams. Dorothy Cole York. Last, but certainly not least, is Master of Arts Teaching English, Secrets of Other Languages. Tanya Eileen Wallace Python. Emily M. Hampton. Charles A. McKinney IV. Ellie Marie Knoll. And Christina T. Ramirez. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would now like to ask Carla Lineback, Director of Alumni Engagement, to come to the podium to welcome our graduates of the worldwide community of SAT alumni.
Congratulations, graduates. It's truly my pleasure to welcome you to the SIT and World Learning family, a vibrant and growing community of over 125,000 change makers from all parts of the globe. We are peace builders, diplomats, development practitioners, humanitarian workers, language instructors, and active community builders. The Office of Alumni Engagement is here to support your efforts as we make your mark on the world. I look forward to celebrating your successes, and I encourage you to maintain the connections you have made along the journey by staying in touch with your peers, our network, and with this organization. Please share a way with us to be in touch with you so that we may more widely share your stories with others and share opportunities with you. In the words of Nobel laureate and SIT alumna Jody Williams, if we want a world where peace is valued, we must teach ourselves to believe that peace is not a utopian vision, but a real responsibility that must be worked for, each and every day in small and large ways. Congratulations again. We're excited to see all of the ways, both small and large, that you will make the world more sustainable, peaceful, and just. On this day, the 13th day of August in the year 2022, School for International Training has officially conferred degrees on these graduates. Graduates, go forward with courage and grace, carrying with you the traditions, strengths, and vision of this institution. On behalf of the trustees, faculty, and staff, I declare that the 56th annual commencement exercises of SIT Graduate Institute have now concluded. A warm congratulations to all the graduates and their families. Yes, a few housekeeping notes before we conclude. Students with SAT decorative robes, please return them to the room 106 at the Lower International Building. It wouldn't be a higher education institution if you didn't have this at the end of the ceremony. Team platform party members, please return your regalia to the locations where you initially rode. And to everyone, please join us as our guests in the Lower International Centre, which is just over there. You are also cordially invited to stay on campus this afternoon for our special event where hopefully you will then be very surprised to see the beautiful marker. Where we're going to be a wonderful ceremony to honour the history and shared values of SIT and the Peace Corps. And now, as our band, its joyful noise, leads our processional from this place, we ask that the audience to please remain in your places until the academic procession. There's the platform party, then the faculty, and finally the graduates. Recess. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What do you think? Like a problem?